People often assume that those who talk a lot are confident, outgoing, comfortable in any room. But psychology is rarely that simple. Talking a lot isn't just a personality trait. It's often a coping strategy. And to understand it, you have to look at what silence feels like to that person. Talking isn't always about expression. For some people, talking is how they regulate their nervous system. Silence creates space, and space can feel unsafe. When there's quiet, the mind turns inward. Thoughts get louder. Self-awareness increases. So talking fills the space before the mind does. Not because they love hearing their own voice, but because silence feels heavier than words. The fear underneath silence. For many people who talk a lot, silence feels like judgment. They assume, if I'm not speaking, I'm being evaluated. If I stop talking, people will notice me. If I pause, I'll lose control of the moment. So they stay ahead of the silence. Talking becomes a shield, a way to control how they're perceived. Talking as a form of control. When you talk, you guide the interaction. You choose the topic. You set the pace. You decide what version of yourself is visible. For someone who feels uncertain, this feels safer than waiting. Listening requires trust. Talking feels active. So instead of sitting with uncertainty, they speak. Many people who talk a lot aren't just talking. They're over-explaining. They clarify before being misunderstood. They justify before being questioned. They explain before anyone asks. This usually comes from past experiences. Being misinterpreted, being criticized, being told they said something wrong. So now they try to say everything, just in case. Talking as emotional regulation. For some, talking helps emotions move. When they speak, feelings loosen. Anxiety drops slightly. The body relaxes. Talking becomes grounding. Not everyone processes internally. Some process externally, in real time, out loud. That doesn't mean they lack depth. It means their thoughts organize themselves through speech. When talking hides insecurity. Sometimes, constant talking is a way to avoid being seen too clearly. If you keep talking, people don't ask deeper questions. Attention stays surface level. Vulnerability is delayed. Words become noise that protects something sensitive underneath, not consciously, automatically. Why people misunderstand talkative minds. Quiet people are often labeled deep. Talkative people are labeled shallow. But depth isn't about volume. It's about awareness. Many talkative people are extremely perceptive. They just express it outwardly instead of inwardly. Their mind moves fast. Their mouth tries to keep up. The exhaustion of talking too much. What people don't see is the fatigue. Talking constantly takes energy. Monitoring reactions, adjusting tone, reading faces. Many people who talk a lot go home exhausted and energized because they weren't just talking, they were managing. The moment they stop talking, when a talkative person finally becomes quiet, it's often not peace, it's overload. That's when thoughts rush in, doubts appear, regret shows up. Did I say too much? Did that sound stupid? Why did I talk so much? The mind replays everything, a different way to see it. People who talk a lot aren't trying to dominate space, they're trying to feel safe in it. They're regulating anxiety, creating connection, avoiding misinterpretation, managing uncertainty. Growth isn't about silence. The goal isn't to talk less. The goal is to feel safe enough to pause, to realize, I don't have to fill every gap. I don't have to explain everything. I don't disappear when I'm quiet. Soft ending. So when you meet someone who talks a lot, don't assume confidence. Don't assume ego. Often, you're seeing a mind trying to stay balanced, not louder than others, just wired differently.